everyone, welcome to Enjoy English. I'm Alice.
Hello, I am Bernice.
And today in our Green Living unit, we are talking about your best companion on a road trip, Beethoven. So in an electric vehicle battle, the classical music king came out on top. Very surprising. I don't know how that works or why, but we'll find out.
Okay, so for Green Life, for Green Living, today's topic, we're going to talk about Beethoven. Maybe some of you're not very familiar with this person, but I believe you have ever heard that. Dun, 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 dun! That is Symphony Number 5 from Beethoven. So when you are driving and you listen to this kind of music, how do you feel? Okay, so this is our topic. So this classical music king, so Beethoven is a musical king. So he came out on top, which means he is the winner.
Your best companion on a road trip, Beethoven. Recently, South Korean car company Kia carried out a study on how the music that people listen to in cars affects their driving patterns. In a Kia electric car, drivers with no previous experience with electric vehicles drove a 30-kilometer route with traffic jams, winding country roads, and a long straight road. All of the drivers were listening to fixed playlists at the same volume and were hooked up to wearable devices that recorded their measurements. The playlist included Beethoven, Adele, Kanye West, The Weeknd, and more. In conclusion, Beethoven beat the modern-day musicians because the drivers drove 4 times more efficiently when classical music by Beethoven was playing. When The Weeknd's #1 high-energy single was on, drivers stepped on the gas a little too much, which made the car's performances inefficient and drained the battery quicker. Adele's Hello fell somewhere in between the two as the song's highs and lows made drivers emotional. Overall, Kia found that music plays a very big part in how people drive their cars. If you ever feel like saving some energy in your electric vehicle, switch on some classical music and enjoy the ride.
All right, right into paragraph 1. So, recently, South Korean car company Kia carried out a study on how the music that people listen to in cars affects their driving patterns. So if they carry out a study, basically it means that they did a study, right? So that they made it, they did the experiments, so they carried it out.
So this company, car company, they want to know that what kind of music when people they are driving, what kind of music you hear. So that's why they did this kind of study on how, which means the way the music that people listen to inside of your car when you're driving affect, which means influence you, your what? Your driving patterns. Okay, so which means the way you drive. So they want to know what kind of music you are listening when you are driving.
In a Kia electric car, drivers with no previous experience with electric vehicles drove a 30-kilometer route with traffic jams, winding country roads, and a long straight road, right? So if it's a winding road, by the way, winding means like it's not straight, it's kind of like curvy, right? It doesn't have to be like really crazy, but it's not going to be just a straight line. It's a winding road.
Okay, so it's a kind of electric car. So the person, he or she is driving an electric car. And there will be 3 different routes or route, okay? The first one is that is a 30-kilometer, very long route, okay? But with traffic jams, which means you can see a lot of cars on the road. And second will be the winding country roads, okay, not a straight one. And then will be a very long and straight road. So the drivers, they have, first of all, these drivers, they have no previous experience with electric cars or vehicles. Okay, so they will be asking to do 3 different kinds of road conditions. One is the road with traffic jams, and the second one will be the winding ones, and the last one will be long, straight road.
All of the drivers were listening to fixed playlists at the same volume and were hooked up to wearable devices that recorded their measurements. So volume, by the way, is how loud something is in this case. So the volume of the radio, I might say turn up the volume, which means make it louder, or turn down the volume, which means make it quieter.
Okay, so when these drivers, they were driving, so they have to listen to fixed playlists, which means you cannot change. Okay, they will give you the playlists, so you have to listen to. But you have to listen to the music at the same volume, which means, for example, just volume 8 or volume 6. Okay, you're listening to this music at the same volume. And the word hooked up to, which means connected to. Wearable devices, maybe they will wear a kind of watch, okay, on your wrist or what. But this kind of wearable devices help them to record your measurements because they want to do this study to see what kind of music affect the drivers. So they have to use the wearable devices to help them to record these measurements.
So let's take a break and then move on to paragraph 2.
Okay.
All right, let's go on to paragraph 2. So it says, the playlist included Beethoven, Adele, Kanye West, The Weeknd, and more. So these 4 artists that they mentioned, plus more, they're all from very different genres, right? Beethoven's music is nothing like Adele's, which is nothing like Kanye West's, which is nothing like The Weeknd's music. They're all very different.
Yes, so they are very different. So for Beethoven, we know he is the classical music king. And Adele, you know, she's a pop singer. Okay, and Kanye, he's a rapper, and The Weeknd, he's a Canadian singer. Okay, so they have 4 different kinds of music style. In
conclusion, Beethoven beat the modern-day musicians because the drivers drove 4 times more efficiently when classical music by Beethoven was playing. I wonder if that's because maybe the other artists, they're singing along and Beethoven's songs, there's no words. I don't know why.
Okay, so in conclusion, which means finally Beethoven beat all of them, which means Beethoven is the winner. Okay, we can use beat. We can also use another word, defeat. D-E-F-E-A-T. Okay, so Beethoven beat the modern-day musicians because the other singers, they are modern-day musicians or singers. Why? Because the drivers, when they were driving 4 times more efficiently, which means they save a lot of energy or they save a lot of time. Anyway, 4 times more, okay, when the classical music by Beethoven was playing. So when they were listening to da-na-na-na, and they can drive faster, but they save a lot of time and energy.
When The Weeknd's #1 high-energy single was on, drivers stepped on the gas a little too much, which made the car's performances inefficient and drained the battery quicker. So that's kind of why. We were wondering why, and I guess, yeah, you might, if you step on the gas too much, it's not as efficient, right? You're kind of wasting more gas, right? And you're draining the battery.
Okay, so which means, in this sentence, which means when people, they were listening to the Weekends, and this song is the #1 high energy single, okay, was playing, the drivers, they step on the gas, which means they hit the gas, H-I-T. They hit the gas a little too much, which means they were driving a little bit faster. Okay, so that's when they were listening to the Weeknd's #1 high energy single. And also, which made the car's performances inefficient because you drive too fast, so you cannot save more energy. And drained the battery quicker, which means your battery will die very soon.
Adele's Hello fell somewhere in between the two as the song's highs and lows made drivers emotional. So that song, if you've ever heard it, it is quite an emotional song, right? It's very powerful. So maybe even though it didn't drain the battery as fast as the Weeknd song maybe, but it wasn't quite so calming, right? Quite so efficient as Beethoven's.
Yeah, so Adele's song, which means fell in between, which means between the Beethoven and the Weeknd songs, okay? And when they were listening to Adele's songs, and the drivers felt more emotional, which means, you feel very happy or you feel very excited, your emotion is very strong. It is also not very good if you want to drive well. So, Adele's Hello is in between.
Yeah, emotional is it's very broad word. You can say, I'm feeling very emotional. You can feel very sad, very angry, very happy. But it's a strong feeling. It's not just like a little happy or a little sad, right?
Yeah,
it's very, very emotional. So, that's kind of interesting to learn, I think. What? Adele songs? So emotional?
Yeah, but I really surfed the internet to find some of the information, especially very shocking benefits of listening to classical music, listening to the music like Beethoven's music. First thing, you can decrease your blood pressure. Okay, when you're driving, okay, you cannot drive at a very high, when you drive at a very high speed, okay, that is dangerous. But if you listen to classical music, it can decrease your blood pressure. It can help you fight your depression when you feel very sad. You can try to listen to classical music. And also, it can make you feel happy. Wow, that's the most important thing. So when you're driving, you feel very happy. You will not yell at other drivers, hey, why do they do that? Why do they drive like this? So you don't feel emotional very easily. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, that is good. So let's take a break and then go on to the last part.
Okay.
Okay, final paragraph. So, overall, Kia found that music plays a very big part in how people drive their cars. So again, that was the whole point of their study, right? Does the music affect how people drive? And yes, it plays a very big part, not just a small part, a very big part.
Yes, so overall, also we can use in general, General. Okay, Kia, this car company, what did they find? They found that music really plays a very big part, which means really very important in how people drive their cars. So just like what I said, when you are driving, you listen to some kind of music, it helps you feel happy or makes you feel emotional or makes you hit your gas, something like that. So this is music really plays a very important part for people to if they want to drive well.
If you ever feel like saving some energy in your electric vehicle, switch on some classical music and enjoy the ride. So, right, if you enjoy the ride, that means you're basically, they often say that actually before you go, like, even on a roller coaster, the person will say, enjoy the ride, right? And you'll be like, oh, right? Or if you go on a boat or on a plane, people might say, enjoy the ride. Just like, try to relax, have a good time.
Yeah. So if you ever feel like plus VING, when we use feel like plus VING, this feel like means want to. So you can also say if you ever want to save some energy in your electric vehicle, which means the car. Switch on, we can also use turn on, okay? Turn on some classical music, dun, 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 or da la 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 la, okay, something like that. Okay, classical music, it really helps you to enjoy your ride. Okay, when you are driving, you feel very happy. You can enjoy your ride. Drive safe.
I'm kind of wondering because it says in your electric vehicle. So I wonder, does this apply, do you think, to regular gas vehicles?
Maybe I think it works.
Yeah, because I think, because this study, right, was only on electric vehicles. But maybe for those of us with gas vehicles, maybe it's the same. Maybe it's not. We need another study to show us evidence, right? Maybe Kia or a different car company can do a study on other vehicles and maybe also other types of music.
Yeah, because classical music really can help people, especially for the drivers, to reduce their stress level, to improve their productivity. So I believe if these drivers, they are driving the regular cars, maybe classical music really helps.
And I also kind of wonder because a lot of people now not only listen to music, but some people like to listen to audiobooks or podcasts. I wonder if those also make you feel relaxed.
Yeah, so we can email Kia, this car company. Would you please do more study on that? Okay.
Tell us more. We want to know how to be the best drivers possible, right?
Yes, that's true.
All right, let's take a break and talk about vocabulary.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about our vocabulary words that we learned today. So the first word we have is classical. So this, in this case, is a genre of music, like classical music. You think of Beethoven, you think of Bach, you think of Mozart. Now keep in mind that classical is different than classic. These are two words that sound very, very similar, but they're a little different. So keep that in mind.
Okay, so when we use classic, for example, we say it is a classic novel. Usually we talk about the novel has a high quality or standard. Then we use classic. And classical usually talk about a part of long tradition. So when we talk about classical music, we talk about different kinds of music.
Next, we have carry out. So if you want to carry out something, basically means that they did something. So in the article, they talked about Kia, the company, carried out a study. So they did the study. They did the research, right? They did the process of doing the study. Kind of a weird way to explain it, but that's the best way to explain it.
Okay, so carry out something. Usually we mean do something. For example, we can say carry out a study, carry out a survey, carry out an experiment.
Next, we have winding. So remember, it's not winding, it's winding. So winding country roads kind of goes left and right? It's very long. It's not like a short, straight path. It's a winding road.
Yeah, winding is an adjective talking about a road which repeatedly turns to different directions. So we use winding. Don't pronounce wind. No, winding.
Next, we have volume. So volume, how loud something is or how quiet it is. I might say turn up the volume or turn down the volume.
Yeah, we can also use switch up and switch down. So we can use turn up, which means you want to hear something that is louder.
Next, we have be hooked up to something. So in the article, remember they said that they were hooked up to wearable devices, right? So that means usually they say that because like there's some wire traditionally, but you can still be hooked up to something without a wire, but usually it's like you're hooked up to an IV, hooked up to some sort of device.
Yeah, so it also means you connect another thing to another machine. For example, you connect a machine to another machine. So we can also use be hooked up to something or be hooked up to a machine.
Next, we have in conclusion. It's a good way to kind of end your essay, right? In conclusion, like kind of the ending, right? It's how you wrap up something.
Yes, another way to say is to sum up. S-U-M-U-P, to sum up.
Next, we have drain. So if you drain the battery, that means the battery level's going from 90% to 50% to 20% to 0%, right? It's being drained.
Yeah, so another way we say drain will be consume. C-O-N-S-U-M-E. And there's another word for drain that is brain drain. B-R-A-I-N, D-R-A-I-N. 2 words. Brain drain, which means, okay, some talented people, they go to other countries to work, not inside of their country.
And then we have switch on. So our last phrase is switch on. We switch on some classical music. That means you turn it on. Or you can switch off the lights, turn them on, turn them off.
Yeah, so we can put lights or appliances behind switch on. So we say switch on or switch off, turn off.
All right, so that's all the time we have today. We will see you all next time.
Bye.